All right, welcome back to another update. It's been a while. I've been hard at work on the materials, trying to bring a more physically based rendering setup for the materials with one material setup that handles both dielectric and metal with the use of a slider or a map. And you can see some of the effect that gives here, namely on the floor. What I'm using here is two different materials. One has the slider dialed to soft for soft reflections or blurry reflections, and slid to the other way on the metal areas of the floor. It's using the sharper cube map reflection. The console has the most mature material set up at the moment. These have been in a couple of the latest revisions, but I'm using maps, texture maps, some grunge bitmaps to sort of break up those reflections. And so we'll take a look at that. The scene is still a bit bright. I've been trying to dial it down while not losing the environment mapping, or environment lighting I should say, but I still have some work to do. Alright, so let's take a look at the floor. Here you can see we're getting some pretty decent feedback, although the scene is much darker in Blender. So this leads me to believe that I might have some objects, some lamps maybe that are hidden but that are still exporting. So that's something I'll have to investigate. But if we look down here, we're looking at the this floor panel segment here, which is more of a metal, and I'm using this material on the entire walkway, all the metal pieces. So you can see that if we dial this to the right, should increase the strength of the reflection, making it very, very glossy. And if we go to the left, not so much. And then for the inside panel pieces, same setup, just sort of another mixing of the map. So we're mixing the reflection map on top of the base color, if you will, and then we can dial in whether it's soft or sharp, and 0 is all the way to the soft end. Let's take a look at what this group looks like. Here are the two maps. This was created from the equirectangular HDR, re-rendered out to cube map PNG, and I'm not sure if I can bring that up in the viewer or not. You can take a look at what that looks like in the image editor. So we've got the Skyway reflection map there, and this one is what I'm calling a light map. So this should be the Skyway light map, and it's just a blurred version, much lower resolution. It's also used for lighting, for the environment lighting setup. And then the control for the strength, the blending between each one is using this value is exposed here on this mix shader. What else? All right, let's go to the console assembly, which is in its own model. Then this is linked in as a group. For the screen, I used some grunge maps, which is this here, to sort of give us a some smudges, some fingerprints along the edge of the screen. And that was kind of roughly done. I'd like to make a different map to make it look more natural, but for the moment I think it gives the appropriate effect. And it's very subtle. You're not going to see it here, but I believe in the Blend4Web environment it does show up a bit better. So that gets inverted and added to the overall color effect, and it also is going to knock out the specularity and affect that. And you can see we do have UV mapping on that object. And this is sort of the strategy I want to employ on some of the other materials, using maps to break up the regularity. So for the best texture setup, I think the smaller super cap here is probably the best example, and that is in its own scene. And I'm doing a couple things. I'm using image maps and I'm using vertex colors on the model. So I've got the vertex color coming in, clamping that down, and sort of using that as a map to attenuate how my roughness maps are affecting. So that's the effect of the color ramp on the vertex colors. Let's see what that's looking like here. So it's going to be less rough on these areas than it is on the rest of the model. And then this is mixing in, yep, that's mixing in the actual color. So we can see what that looks like. So there's the vertex colors with the roughness map. And then of course the finished result. Still needs some tweaking. I tried to bake some dirty vertices to darken these areas, but I went in and colored them over anyway, just to try to get some cheap visual interest, rather than get involved in colored UV maps. So I'll have to see. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to shake out, but this is what the UV map looks like so far. And this is probably the most tidy map of them all. Not exactly scaled very well, but the other UV mapping I've done is rather rough than some of these other pieces. But I was really trying to get some basic mapping going on. For example, on this guy, this is probably the most challenging. For this, it looks like I just use a smart unwrap in sections just to get it so I had minimal distortion. And these lower panels also have, they have their own setup using a more plastic look. Then the pipes, or the cables are using the same basic setup. So I'm really just using, with this shader, can be applied to a lot of different objects, and then you can use the vertex coloring to sort of differentiate. But then there's other, dialing in the amount that the grunge maps and the I think this is an ambient occlusion, yeah. How much that is affecting the overall material. So work in progress, but it's starting to look more interesting, which is making it pretty fun. I think this is one that I have not. This has gotten some material work, but still needs, still needs some UVing. I've only done a couple areas. Let's see if we can get a close-up of that. Very subtle. Probably increase how this map is affecting that portion. All right.